How you doing, Brother Craig? How you doing?
Mic check, 1 2. 1 2, checker, microphone checker. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Morning Motivation, your daily dose of inspiration and empowerment. I'm your host, Jamon, and I'm thrilled to have you join me today because it's hump day. So whether you're here to seek motivation, connect with like-minded individuals, or simply get your day started on the right foot, you've come to the right place. And on your way in, go ahead and hit that like button. Let me know you're here, you're feeling good on this beautiful Wednesday morning. And also, if you want to support your boy's coffee habit, much obliged. QR code is on the screen. And also, it's pinned to the top of the chat. All right, man, we have a great show lined up for you today. A very informative show. Very informative show. We've been talking about the seasons of life. Spring, summer, fall, winter. And we've been in the summer season for a while now, simply because it's your 20s, it's your 30s, and it's your 40s. Those are the summer. That's a long summer. And a lot of things happen in our summer season that will either set us up for failure or set us up for success. As we get started today, I want to recognize a few people in the room this morning. I want to say shout out to that chick, yo. Auntie Canada, hump day. Toronto Riggins. My guy, D-Rob. Appreciate y'all for being in the building this morning. Now, Monday, we talked about that midlife crisis. We also talked about how midlife crisis isn't just a male thing. You know, a lot of women suffer from the midlife crisis as well. And it's not recognized that way most of the time. It's only recognized when men experience it because there's obvious signs. You know, we go out and we get a new family, we get new cars, and you know, we do those things that are big. They stand out like to anybody within earshot. But as we discovered, especially in this day and time, with life expectancy being so much longer than it used to be. You know, once upon a time, man, people died from whether it was childbirth, whether it was not having enough food, whether it was predators, whether it was just overall living conditions. But with technology, the advances that we've made in technology, the advances that we have as a people, you know, people will live longer now. And so some of these windows get stretched out because the summer season truly only was the 20s. So you had to have all your babies early. You know, that's why there was so many couples married between 12 and 22. If you waited till you were 30 to get married, you was considered old and nobody was checking for you. Kind of holds true sometimes today, but that window has gotten much longer. Now you could be in your 50s before people really start considering you, you know, hey, you know, the same way. So today, we're moving into those 40s. We started there on Monday, but today we're going to move into the 40s. And the 40s are a very interesting time. Personally, I believe the 40s are the best part of the summer. For many reasons. Partially because I'm a male and the 40s are a little bit of a different space for men in just reaching their 40s. But also it's life experience. You now have 20 plus years of experience. And so if you've applied yourself, if you've paid attention to a lot of the things that were happening around you from your 20s and your 30s, and you've kind of been steadily progressing, maybe not even knowing exactly what you wanted, but steadily progressing, you find yourself in your 40s in a really good position. So let's take a step back.
How you doing, Brother Craig? How you doing?
Let's take a step back. Think about it. When you were in your high school days, when you were sitting in English 4 or English 3, there was this thing called senior superlatives, right? And did anybody remember what senior superlatives are? Put a 1 in the chat if you remember what your senior superlative was. Is that even still a thing? Do people still do that? Senior superlatives. I don't even know if that's still a thing. I know once upon a time it was, but now, not so certain. But my class, we had some, I will call them mean ones. And I'm not sure if they're supposed to be mean or not. But generally, for those of you who don't know, a senior superlative was your classmates looking at you and deciding that you were most likely to be X or Y when you grew up. You know, most likely, some of my senior superlatives, not my personal one, but for my class that I remember, most likely to be class clown at work. And that was not me. I was not voted most likely to be class clown at work. Most likely to be the basketball court, the local basketball court all-star. Most likely to be a doctor, or most likely to, you know, have 6 children and 17 husbands, you know, those kind of things. My class one, we had some mean ones, and I'm not even gonna go into them. But let's just say they were not nice. They were not nice. And if you wanted to say that was a tinge of racism in it, you know, you could even sniff some of those, because some of them was just like, you know, most likely to have a low paying job and be on food stamps. I mean, some of them was like that. They weren't well wishing a lot of folk. Oh, I see it. You know, I ain't even going into them because, one, I don't want to mess them up, and two, some of them were mean, and I don't want to make the mean ones even meaner now. But you know, when you're a kid, you think sky's the limit. You have plenty of time, and you're right. What up, boo? Because I tell you, I was surprised when you know how you see you in elementary, middle school, high school with these same kids for the most part, right? You may have a few people could drop in and out, but the core is about the same. And so then once you graduate and you go your separate ways, I was surprised the first time I saw one of my homegirls working in a shoe modeling establishment. And she was embarrassed when she recognized me in that establishment. Because that was not what she was most likely to be, because her father was a pastor. And so we thought she was most likely to be first lady. I was shocked when I saw a guy voted to be, the businessman of the year or something like that. But then you see him off in the corner, with a pipe in his hand. I was shocked at some situations, how I found myself with the front seat laid all the way back, in a pillow under my head and a blanket over my body, because I didn't have anywhere to call home at that moment. You see, how we see ourselves in our 20s and how other people see us in our 20s, they're just small glimpses into the whole story of who we are, what we will eventually become. But the work begins in the 20s. Because I will bet money nobody is on the when you stop at the stoplight today, and that person is standing there with that sign, look them in their eyes. I'm not saying give them no money, but look them in their eyes and try to see if actually, you know what? Don't look them in their eyes. No, don't do that. You know what? Wrong answer. Don't look them in their eyes. But think to yourself, I wonder if they thought they would be here. Then I want you to look at yourself and say, man, did I ever think I would be here? And whether the answer is yes or no, that means you got work to do. Because where you are right now, you're still in the summer of life. You can't stay here forever. You can't be the person that's stuck in that time space and 10 years goes by and you're still trying to live in this space right now. No, you got to make preparations for the next phase. And if you haven't gotten to where you thought you would be, guess what? You're still in your summer season. You got time to right the ship a little bit. You may not make as much progress as you could have made, but guess what? More progress is better than no progress. So anyway, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about dominating in these 40s. And if you have entered your 30s and you are still trying to put the pieces together, it's okay. Trust me. It's okay. You technically still do have time. You are not behind your peer group, because all it takes in life is for you to hit once. In fact, be in the right position and the right opportunity presents itself, and it changes your life. But if the opportunity keeps coming along and you're never in position to take advantage of it, sooner or later you're going to run out of opportunities. You're going to run out of time. And nobody wants that. So today we're going to talk about those things that we should be doing in our 40s. And I want to go a little deeper in this, because the 40s is slightly different from the male and the female perspective. But I'm not sure if we're going to get to that today. So that may be something we talk about on Monday, potentially Friday. I'm not sure what my Fridays are looking like right now, but potentially we might come back and do it on Friday with the 40s, the difference between the 40s and between male and females. But today we're going to talk about how to dominate in your 40s and some of the things you should be doing. So, the first thing we should be doing in our 40s to dominate, and is that in investing in personal growth and learning. I make no bones about it. I hated school. Did not like the idea of school outside of I could be there with my friends, I could play some sports, and the girls were there. Put a one in the chat if you just love school. Somebody talk to me. Were you the type that loved school, or could school just miss you with all of that? Only reason you went is because you had to go. The only reason I went to school is because I really had to be there. And then once I started playing sports and started realizing that the girls were there too, I said, you know what? The school thing might not be a bad idea. And so you can imagine my grades were not good. I mean, I did just enough to not repeat another grade, because I flunked third grade because I refused to do any work because I hated school that much. So I just sat there and didn't do anything. And then that next year when that teacher, when I showed up and I was still in the third grade and all my friends had went on to the fourth, oh, 0. It was okay. Yeah, I was so embarrassed, and I said, I'll never do this again. I'm gonna do enough. I ain't gonna be no straight A student, but I'm gonna do enough. And so that's what I did. I made a career of doing enough. And besides, coming from my family, there was no high expectations that I was gonna be a straight A student. It was a hope, but it wasn't no high expectations. We didn't breed straight A students in my family. We bred hustlers. And so as long as you were street smart, that's all you really needed to be in my family. So I did just enough. And then I got in there and I started becoming good at sports. And I started becoming somewhat of a ladies' man. And so I would go to class and I would pay attention enough to still play sports, but also not to look like a complete fool in front of the ladies. And then I realized something. I discovered that I like history. I discovered that I like communications and I like languages. But the rest of that stuff, math, I need to know how to count this money. And I had to do quick math. Science, I wasn't really big into science, but it did interest me. But it really wasn't my thing. But as an adult, I think I've read, when you're learning how to read, you got to read all these books to get the little pizza, the Pizza Hut coupon to get the personal pan pizza. I was smashing them jokers. So I learned how to read really quick because I love pizza. But once I got past that, if I read more than one book a year, like for a book report, I read the intro, I read the ending, and I'd summarize the rest myself. So the teacher knew I read it, but they wasn't sure how I got so some of these important details mixed up. And so that was my way through school. But then I became an adult. Then it started mattering how much I learned and how much I knew. And then I found myself struggling, trying to keep up. So I got involved in business. I got involved in a network marketing business or a multi-level marketing company. And everybody was talking about reading. Leaders are readers. Leaders are readers. Wait a minute. Auntie Canada said, I studied my father's and mother's signature. When I got to high school, I would write my own absent letter and late letter and sign one of my parents' names. That's what I'm talking about. Look, my dad should have been easy, but I could never do my dad's. And my mom's, I dared not. So I just didn't go. And when they said, why you late? I ran out of gas, or I walked to school. Well, I need your mama to sign this. Mama sign this. Well, I done told you. She just fussed a little bit, but I ain't forging no signatures. No. And primarily because I tried to steal one time. My mom was counting some bill money up, and all I saw was just money all over the table. I just knew, man, my mama rich. Man, I went there trying to slide me a 5 out that pile. When she walked out the room, I wanted to give me a little 5 out that pile. Boy, she came around that corner. I threw that 5 bill up in the air. That joker slid behind the stove. Boy. When I tell you, I'm still trying to grow the black back on my back right now. Oh wow, that's your yes. I got Dad's signature on lock. Wow, y'all was wild, man. But see, that's that's one of the difference between men and women. Man, I don't care, bro. What you gonna do? Women's like, you know what? I'm gonna finesse this real quick. But yeah, boy, my mama, whoo, I still got skin missing on my back to this day. I'm like, it's just $5. And so I learned back then, don't steal. Don't steal. Then eventually became don't steal, don't lie. Then it became, if you big and bad enough to do it, be big and bad enough to accept the punishment. So that was my arc. If I'd have forged the signature, she might have broke all my fingers. Now I can't speak for my siblings though. I think one or two of them may have tried that forgery game. But yeah, so I get into this network marketing business. Everybody's talking about reading, how important reading is. And so I got a book and I started reading, but then I ended up reading Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think that was the first book. I believe the first book that the first book I bought, I was in high school. It was a book called Street Soldier about a guy who was from LA. He was in a gang, and he wrote about his story of getting out. So that was interesting to me. But once I got into this network marketing business, the pressure was on to read, to grow, to develop. And I'm thinking, I know everything I need to know. Just show me how to do the thing, and I'll do the thing. But what I didn't understand is that you're becoming. All this information you're taking in is changing you. All the things that you're learning, they're becoming a part of you, and it's improving who you are. And what they were trying to say without saying it, the more you know, the more you learn, it makes you more credible in the eyes of other people, in the eyes of potential business partners, in the eyes of people who will be following behind you. Credibility matters. But once I started reading that book by Robert Kiyosaki, it taught me some things that I never knew. It showed me some things that I didn't understand, and I said, wow. And since then, I've read hundreds of books since then, and I can't get enough. I probably have about 100, 150 books in the bookshelf between all the bookshelves in this house. I got somewhere over 200, 300 audiobooks on my phone, and I'm listening to stuff every week. And so investing in your personal growth and learning, if you have not started doing that yet, now is the time. Now is the time. Information is free out there. I mean, you got to be able to pay for internet connection now, but it's free. Commit to lifelong learning because you never know it all. Some people max out because their educational pursuits max out, and they get stuck at a certain level because they refuse to grow with the next generation, to grow with the next level, to learn how business is done in this space. So commit to being a lifelong learner. So this is the first thing you do when you want to dominate in your 40s. Invest in personal growth and learning. Getting a coach. Joining a community like this. Going back to school. If you got your bachelor's, go get your master's. Go get your MBA. Go get your master's in public health. Whatever the things you're interested in. Go back and get a trade certification. Put yourself in position to where you are credible. Because as you go into your 40s, you by default start becoming the leader. You by default become part of the establishment, the leadership structure. And those people that's just hitting their 20s now, they're going to look to you, look to your example. They're going to follow you. It should not be the other way around. But we talked about that midlife crisis, how the 50-year-olds and the 40-year-olds are trying to act like the 20-year-olds and dress like the 20-year-olds and walk like the 20-year-olds and talk like the 20-year-olds. It's not supposed to be that way. Just like a parent is never supposed to bury their child. There is a natural order to things that creates success. If we try to upend the natural order of things, in a lot of ways, we are speeding up our demise. D-Rob said, man, it's hard trying to go back to school out here when my days are at school and practice all day. Hey, man, there's this rule that my great grandma used to always say. It's a very complicated rule, but it took me a while, but I figured it out. And that's just what it is. It's called figure it out. Because on the surface, it looks, in real talk, D-Rob, on the surface, it looks like I don't have enough time in the day. It feels like I can't add nothing else to my plate. Makes me miss Texas for real. So I know I've shared the story, but I'll share it again. I was living in Montgomery, Alabama. 3 children, 1 on the way, and I decided to go back to school. I decided to go back to school. I worked from 7 to 3, and I went from school. My first class started about 6. So I would go home, check on the fam, grab a bite to eat, head to school. And I took 2 classes on Monday and Wednesday and 1 class on Tuesday. So I took 3 classes a semester. So I was like not quite full time. Well, maybe I was full time. We're taking 3 classes. Excuse me. But anyway, my schedule was set. I am maxed out. There's nothing else I can add to my plate. I promise you. I can't get anything else on this thing. Nope, I was actually going to class. It wasn't online back then because it was 2000, what was it, 2006? So online school was just starting, but it really wasn't a real thing. You still had to go to class. And then all of a sudden, that stuff happened at the church. I'm not going to revisit that. But then my wife goes into premature labor. She's having some complications. And so now she's rushed to the hospital 2 hours away. My youngest son is born almost 3 months ahead of schedule, which means he's preemie. So he has to go into this little NICU, and he's fighting for his life. My wife had a big tumor attached to her adrenal gland. And I'm not joking when I do this. It was about that big. And it was spiking her blood pressure from like 235 over 119. No, 235 over, 235 over 119. That's what it was. Then it got up to 240 over like 140 something. And they were concerned she was going to have a stroke, heart attack, anything. And so my life for the next 90 days, bruh, I couldn't withdraw from school without, defaulting. So I would get up in the morning at 5. I would take the kids to their grandma's house. She would take them to school. I would go to work. I would get off work. I would pick up the kids from school, take them back to their grandmama's house, go to school, leave school, drive 2 hours from Montgomery to Birmingham, sit in the hospital room with my wife and my son is in the NICU, fall asleep there, wake up about 1, head back to the house, take a shower, get the kids, drop them off at school, go to work. That was my life, bro, for like 90 days. And I promise you, had you told me I could have pulled that off, but it's called figure it out. It's called stretching and growing. It's called you do what you have to do to get what you need to get or what you want to have. Because there's never going to be a convenient time. There's never a perfect time to have an accident. But you have an accident and you adjust on the fly. You figure it out. It really just comes down to what you truly want and how bad you want it. That's why the why matters. That's why the why matters. And that's why communities like this matter, because when you think you've gotten to the end of your rope, somebody says, hey, just go a little lower, climb a little higher. You still got this. I've been through it. I've seen it. I know you could do it. And that little extra encouragement helps us climb one more rung on that ladder. Helps us go a little bit further. Helps us make that move that we were fretting over making. And now we're one step closer to the dream. So if you haven't been doing those things, now is a great time to start. Whether you're in your 30s or your 40s, you're still in your summertime. So commit to personal growth and learning. That's how you dominate in your 40s. Develop emotional intelligence. This cannot be understated. Developing emotional intelligence. It ain't cute to see a 40-year-old man pulling off his shirt in the middle of traffic trying to fight somebody. It ain't cute when a 20-year-old do it, but you understand it when a 20-year-old do it because he's probably just a hothead. Too much testosterone in his system. He hadn't learned some important lessons yet. He's still acting out. He's doing things. But if you're 40 years old and you're doing that, you're not going to have a very fruitful life because nobody's going to trust you. Nobody's going to be willing to take a chance on you, take a risk on you because you don't know how to even control the words that come out of your mouth. These are all the lessons you should have been learning in your 20s and in your 30s. Home training in your spring. Mastering self-awareness, empathy, social skills, they become crucial for navigating adulthood and life and leadership. It's hard to give somebody some guidance and some wisdom when you can't control your own actions in public or in private. You're downtown all the time for beating on your wife. You're downtown all the time for beating on your kids. You have no emotional control. In your 40s, it becomes crucial that you figure that out. Sometimes you may need to go see a doctor. You might need to get some medication. Maybe you have a chemical imbalance. Maybe it's not your fault that you do what you do or feel the way you feel. Maybe there's something going on inside of you that needs some professional considerations. But now is the time when you try to figure that out. But the biggest thing I like about this 40s era and this becoming a lifelong learner, the more I learn about myself. The more you learn about yourself, the more self-awareness that you have, it enables you to make better decisions. It enables you to chart the path that's most productive. You have 20 years of life experience. You can actually say at that point, I've tried it this way, that didn't work. I've tried it that way, that didn't work. I want to try it this way, but let me do my research first. Because you've discovered that flying off half-cocked on an idea never works out for you. You don't have that kind of favor in your life, so you have to plan yours. Just like I know that if I don't have employment, it's hard for me to get employment. But I got cousins. They change jobs like they change shirts. They'll quit a job today and got another one tomorrow. It's a 6-month process for me. So I had to learn how to be aware of that part of me and not leave a job just because. not leave a job without another job to go to because I have responsibilities. All this is self-awareness. Self-awareness. And that's all in your personal growth and learning. All in your personal growth and learning. Number 2, take control of your health. I remember when I was in high school and I would see like people's parents come to the school and most of them looked old. Most of them looked like they were like 40s and 50s. And I mean, that's not old now, but you know, when you 16, 17, 18, 45 is old. But the thing is, it wasn't their age. They actually looked like they were old. Why? Because they didn't take care of their health as well. They weren't working out anymore. They weren't dressing for their body type. They were dressing what they could afford or, you know, what was in their closet. If they lost weight, they were still wearing the clothes that were a little baggy on them. And if you grew up in the 90s, well, you wore baggy clothes anyway. So it made you look a little less well put together. But now you realize that, okay, I might have some cholesterol challenges. I might have some high blood pressure challenges. I may have some high glucose or sugar challenges. So I need to start working out to get it under control. Or I've hit that middle-age spread. And now I've put on 20 pounds that I can't seem to get rid of. Ladies, I've seen the weight on them hips that was not there on yesterday, but then Saturday you walk in the room and it's like, whoa. I seen my mom when she went through it. When I was born, my mom was about 110 pounds. 110 pounds. She had this big old afro. It's like the afro weighed more than she did. When she had her first bout of breast cancer, when I was in high school, she was probably about a 130. I mean, she was not a big woman. She would have been about 36 or 37 around that time. But something happened between 37 and 40 where I come home from football practice and I double take because I'm like, and my first thought was, is she pregnant again? And it was not that she was like, she looked chubby or anything, but I could tell her clothes were tighter. She looked like she had gained some weight. And the only time I'd ever seen my mom gain weight is when she was pregnant because I have 2 younger siblings. So she hit that middle-age spread. And the first thing she did was immediately start walking. She went to the gym, to the Y every day. She walked on them treadmills. She walked that course. She started changing her eating habits. So my mom was the first person that I saw ever try to fight that thing like that. My dad had a big old pot belly out to here. And he treated it like it was a badge of honor. It was like, oh man, ho, 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 ho. And you know, he was proud of that thing. And then he messed around and got some kind of not pituitary, what you call it? Can I think of she got sick. It was something happened. And can I think of the name of it? It's not fibroid, it's not pituitary, it's anyway. He got sick and he lost all his fat. And so the belly went away. This joker was actually sad that he didn't have the fat no more. But I saw it happen to him. And then it started happening to me. And it's like, I'm going to the gym and I'm getting buffer, but I ain't losing no weight. And I'm trying to diet, I'm trying all these other things, but nothing is working. Thyroid, that's it, boo. Thank you. The thyroid issue, and it's made his weight fluctuate. So if you are not developing the habits you need in your 20s and your 30s, it makes that middle-age spread a little worse. Especially if you have children late, it makes it a little worse. You know, the prime child having years is in your 20s. If you have your children in your 20s, it gives your body time to recover. You have more time before you hit that. But if you have a child at 36 and then you hit that middle age spread at 38, whoo, that's a tough road for some people. That's a real tough road. But the more fat you carry, the more disease creeps in. The more cancers, diabetes, heart disease, all that stuff creep in. The more fat you have, the more you're not sweating out toxins and drinking plenty of water, flushing your system out. And that stuff just sits inside you. And it creates an unhealthy environment, and your body becomes really toxic. And mucus loves toxic environments. And disease grow in mucus. So it's one of the things I did like about Dr. Sebi. He talked about, getting rid of the mucus takes away the inflammation. And somebody like me who has joint issues, inflammation is a terrible thing, especially when it rains, arthritis kick in. So the more I'm conscious about what I eat and working out and drinking water and keep the mucus down in my body, the inflammation stays down too, and I don't have any problems. Or not, at least not as many problems as I would have. And not to mention what it does for your mental health. Mental stress is a killer. Literally, it is. Headaches, strokes, stress causes so many problems in the body because your body releases hormones to deal with that stress. And now your body is flooded with these hormones, and you find yourself fighting a lot. You find yourself arguing a lot. You find yourself not agreeable because you're stressed out. Nobody really wants to be around you. So taking control of your health, having the habit before you get to your 40s is ideal. But if you're into your 40s and you've just been working, you've been paying the bills, you've been raising these kids, but now you in this space where you want to start dominating, these are the things that you should be doing right now. Number 3, master financial independence. What does that even look like? What does that mean? Being strategic in your wealth planning, your wealth building. Most companies offer 401ks or other investment options. There's investment companies all around. There's YouTube, there's Google. There's all these services that talk about it. There's YouTube videos that explain and break down what you need to do, how much you need to put away. Now is the time, because you got roughly 20 years once you hit 40 if you're going to put anything away for retirement. Or you're going to work hard like you're working now until you can't. Choice is yours. D-Rob said, financial independence is my biggest flaw. Hey, man, take a deep breath, bro. Take a deep breath. The fact that you're thinking about it right now, that's amazing. That's amazing. But however, because you have time on your side, you ain't even got to worry about it. You need to set up some long-term investments, an IRA of some sort, or this is not financial advice, but I'm just trying to point you in the right direction to where to start looking. Because you can start putting $50 a month away right now, bro, and in 20 years, that $50 a month will probably net you somewhere, a couple $100,000 over 20 years with compound interest. Oh, bro, it's all good, man. It's all good. This is a hard subject because talking about these seasons, it makes people reflect on their life. You're in that summer season. Everything's possible. That's what it is. The possibilities are there. But sometimes when you've gotten a little further down the line and you start thinking about, man, I mismanaged so much of my 20s and I was just partying and having a good time, or I wasted it with this person or in this job, and I regret it now. I wish I would have done something different. And we tend to get down on ourselves because we can't undo the past. But that's why I'm doing this. And I know it's a little challenging, because it's challenging for me too, because I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. But I can't tell you how many times somebody has said these words to me and they thought they were just talking too much, but I'm like, nah, bro, you hitting me in you hitting me where it hurt right now. But I need to be shaken up because I do want to grow. I don't want to wake up at 50 and 60 and 70 and have all these regrets because I didn't know or I chose not to make it. I chose not to make it possible for me. So I know this is hard, and I'm glad you got an open mind about it. But mastering finances is not complicated. Spend less than you make. It's like dieting. It's not complicated. Eat less than you burn. Invest long term. Invest short term. It's not super complicated. Don't live above your means. I mean, we all get those little small messages and they make sense, but it's the culture that we live in. If you're not intentional, the next new thing is gonna come and take your free income. The next new app is gonna come and take another $20 from you, another $15 from you, another $80 from you, and it's not doing anything. You know, how many TV subscription apps do we have? And we watch them. It ain't like we watch them all day, every day. They're not benefiting. They just drain our time. But it's the thing that we want, so we do it. And that little $20 don't seem like much today, but after you got 5 $20 apps, that's $100. That's $1,200 a year that you've given away that you could have been investing in something. And generally, it's not a problem. However, if you are living above your means and you still throwing away money like that, then, you know, that's your choice and that's what you enjoy doing. So, you know, it's your life. Now, sometimes you could be investing in yourself. That's a good suggestion, D, that Bobby put in there. I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. It's a very good book. He has a YouTube series where he's working with couples and their finances. And I mean, just practical things, man. It ain't hard. But also, as you grow, your earning potential is going to go up. Just don't fall into the trap because now, you know, you making this amount of money, then you got to have a car that match that money. That's a trap. It's a pitfall. Next thing you go find yourself broke at a higher level. You know, when I was bringing in $20,000 a year, I was broke. But I somehow made it. When I was making $40,000 a year, I was broke, but I somehow made it. I was making $60,000 a year. I was broke, but I made it. And I got to $80,000. I'm just like, there's no way I'm not still supposed to be broke. And what I found out is my income increased, so did my lifestyle. And I started becoming broke at a high level. And so the hardest part about being 40 or going into your 40s, your children are getting older. And your children start to call you on your talk. Because now they have experienced you as a child, as when they were children, and you telling them whatever lessons you told them, whether it's about dating, whether it's about money, whether it's about work ethic in school. And now they get old enough to see that you selling wolf tickets. You ain't doing none of the stuff you telling them to do. So now they get to an age where they start calling you on it, or they start completely ignoring you. Because you said we was going to be doing this. You said we was going to go here, but all you do is say stuff. You don't never do nothing. You still dating this person that don't even like you, and you just want to be there, but you telling me how to live my life. You working this job that don't pay you nothing, but yet you want to move and you want to buy a house. I ain't going to be like that. I ain't going to be like mama. They don't be talking about nothing. You see, when you cross to your 40s, your children are entering their teen years most of the time, if they're not already in high school. Depending on, what, my kids were, when I turned 40, I had 2 that was graduating high school. Because your boy started early, it's all good though. And no kids started calling me on some stuff. And I had to buckle down and tighten up. Because I will not look bad in front of my children. I will not be a hypocrite in front of my children. Because for me, my children was my reasons for being. I will be a good example for them. And so when they started calling me on my stuff, that was a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. So sometimes you have to refine the goals. Okay, when you get into your 40s, it ain't so much about my retirement anymore. Now it's about generational wealth. Now it's about legacy. So the mind starts to shift a little bit. I would love to give my children their inheritance before I check out. I would love to give all of my children a house and about a $200,000 or $500,000 or $1 million a piece and a house paid for as their inheritance. I would love to put them in the position to get money out the way so they can go live their life. But the most important thing is to give them the lessons on how to do it, because I can give all my kids $1 million a piece, put them all in nice houses, and in 5 years they'll find a way to not have that house and be broke. If they're not properly educated, if they don't know how to strategize and structure and reinvest. It's like giving a child a loaded gun. It's not good. You got to give them some lessons first. You got to let them live a little life first. Let them understand that it's not a game. It's real. And the more prepared you are, the better you're going to manage. Would love to do that. And I think that's where some parents go wrong, is they try to give their children everything that they didn't have, not recognizing that their child don't need what you wanted. That child just needs you. That child just needs the wisdom and the care and the love and the example. You are your child's first teacher. And so, fellas, if you're spending every waking moment of your child's adolescence at the office, guess who your child is not learning from? And then you're going to wonder why when they get 13, you are nothing but a utility. They only talk to you when they need something, because there was never any bond formed. Ages and stages, folks. Ages and stages. Just like we got our seasons, there's a season for everything, a time for everything. And when our children are born, you have windows that certain things must happen to give your child the best shot. Certain things must happen to give your child the advantage, to give them the heads up. But that's a conversation for another day. We've only covered about 3 of the things we need to do to master our 40s. And number 1 was invest in personal growth and learning. Number 2 was take control of your health. Number 3 was master financial independence. Number 4, which we'll probably get into the next time we get together, reassess and evaluate your career. Number 5 was strengthen personal relationships. Number 6 is embrace leadership and giving back. 7, focus on legacy and long-term impact. 8, and final, embrace self-confidence and authenticity. Once you get into your 40s, there should be a new level of confidence. There should be less worry, less bother, because you've seen some things in your lifetime. As we close out today, I want to take you down history row just for a second. Imagine you were born in 1950. No, 1940. You were in a country that had recovered from the First World War. You were living in a country who had just made it through the Great Depression. You were storing up food in cans, you was preserving things, you lived very cheaply. You lived below your means as much as possible. Then World War II happens. And you growing up, and so you watching your parents do all these things. And so you have been indoctrinated to be a certain way. Well, then the 1950s come up. And now the war is over. The country is booming. The economy is looking good. People are realizing the new American dream, which is home ownership. And this is the time when you are going into your 20s, your senior, your first summer season. And so you grew up in hard times, scrimping and saving. And then as you become an adult, the economy is starting to boom. More money is flying around. More opportunity exists for both men and women. But there's this little thing called racism, right? Jim Crow, segregation. You're watching schools. Now, all of a sudden, schools are becoming desegregated. There's now turmoil in the country. This is your summer season. You're out there protesting. You're marching with the civil rights leaders saying, "We shall overcome." Then you enter in your 30s as you start to see legislation changing and civil rights bills are being passed. Then you go into your 40s and the second class citizenship is supposedly over. You're equals. But you don't quite feel equal, but change has happened. And then the 80s come around and now you're in a new era. Technology is beginning to happen. The things that it used to take 6 months to do, you can now do in 6 hours or 6 days. TV shows, networks are growing. A new culture of hip hop is being born. Black culture experience is being broadcast across the world. Why am I saying all this? It's because change is inevitable. Nothing stays the same. And in every season of life, there should be some kind of preparation. There should be something you learned in this season that's going to help you get into this season. When you feel pressure, D-Rob, when you feel the struggle, my guy, embrace it because it's making you better. Be easy, D. Embrace it because that is the price of admission for that next level. That's what you must go through to get to where you eventually want to be. Now, if you want to hold that sign on the side of the road and ask people for the donations, you can do that. But guess what? Time's going to change for you too. Because now it costs money to stand on that corner now. Once upon a time, you just get you a little sign and go out there. But now you see people wearing little vests. Yeah, they had to go get their panhandler's license now. So you got to pay money to panhandle. Things change, times change. You can have a little settlement outside the highway. They're breaking those up now, and they're pushing you further and further out. No matter where you are, life is going to change. So it behooves us to get ahead, to get ahead of that curve, to be ahead of the change. So be intentional about the life you want to live. And that's really the secret to dominating any era. It's being intentional. Being intentional about the life that you want to lead, the life that you want to live. So we're going to pick the rest of this up probably on Friday. I'm not 100% sure. I know the next couple of Fridays I won't be able to do it, but I think this Friday I might be able to get it done. But I definitely let you guys know. And if it can happen, happen. If not, then I'll see you on Monday. But I'm thinking Friday's going to work. So thank you so much for joining me this morning. If you like the show, please go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. If you know anybody who's struggling going through their 20s, 30s, and 40s, please recommend this series. But give them the trigger warning. This is real conversation. It's not clickbait. This is real talk. This is real work that needs to be done. Life is for the taking, which means you have to take it. Nobody is giving it to you. Nobody's gonna open the door just because you're you. That might work when you're 8, 17, 15, 5. Oh, look at little Jamon, Harry. Oh. But when Jamon turns 22, they expect Jamon to walk like a man, to talk like a man. Jamon has supposed to have grown. If Jamon is still walking up slapping people at 40, what is he doing with his life? He's not mentally mature enough to lead anything, to be a part of any group, because he's a threat. Now, if Jamon is provoked to he lay hands, that's another story. There's always a little grace for that. Protecting yourself, there's grace for that. But just not being able to control my emotions because somebody said words to me, has to be some growth at some point. Yep. Good stuff, though. Thank you guys for being here, sharing this moment with me and this time with me. Shout out to you, that chick, yo, D, Rob, Bobby, Yet, Auntie Canada, Craig, GK. Appreciate all of you. And I will see you next time. Y'all be blessed. Have a great hump day. And remember, finish strong. This is the middle of the week. Don't just coast. Finish strong. Be intentional about your plans and where you want to go, and you'll get there. And on that note, y'all be blessed. Catch y'all next time. Have a great day. Peace.